Men fight with fists, others with lawyers. But my grandpa? He fought with patience. And a demolition permit. You think old people just nap, garden, and tell stories. Well, my grandfather did all three, but his last story was one for the ages. And it all started with a tomato garden and a neighbor named Dennis. My grandfather bought his house in the early 70s. Small town, wide front porch. The kind of place where every squeaky floorboard has a name. After my grandma passed, the house became his whole world. He gardened, painted, fixed things, and read mystery novels in a rocking chair that creaked with every turn of a page. To anyone else, Grandpa seemed like an ordinary old man. But I knew better. He used to be a mechanical engineer, designed gear systems for manufacturing plants. Had the sharpest memory I've ever seen. He didn't speak much, but when he did, you listened. Enter Dennis, the neighbor from hell. Dennis moved in next door about 10 years ago. A recently divorced entrepreneur with a shiny pickup and a smirk you wanted to swat off his face. From day one, he treated Grandpa like background noise. Dismissive, loud music, late parties, dogs off leash. But the real problem? Property lines. Dennis had a habit of accidentally placing things a little over the boundary. A trash bin, a tool shed. One day even a barbecue pit, smoking directly under Grandpa's bedroom window. My grandfather politely asked him to move it. Dennis laughed it off. Said, "It's just a few inches. You're not even using the space." But Grandpa was old school. He didn't yell. He documented. Then came the tomatoes. My grandpa had a small garden patch right at the edge of his property. He took pride in his tomatoes. Heirloom, hand-raised, sweet as candy. One summer, they started disappearing. Not all, just the ripe ones. At first, Grandpa thought it was squirrels. Then one evening, I saw Dennis's teenage son picking them, in broad daylight. When I confronted him, he shrugged. "It's just tomatoes. Chill out." Grandpa said nothing, just nodded and walked away. That's when I saw the notebook, leather-bound, old and worn. Inside, rows and rows of observations. May 14th, 3 missing. Fence scuffed. June 3rd, shed moved 6 inches closer overnight. July 22nd, dog defecated on driveway, photo taken. I asked, "What are you going to do?" He smiled. "I'm going to wait." Over the next 2 years, Dennis escalated, built a deck that extended well over the boundary, let rain runoff spill into Grandpa's yard, even installed a motion light that flashed into his window all night. Grandpa filed complaints. Code enforcement came, issued warnings, small fines. But Dennis had money and arrogance. He'd pay the fine, joke about it, and keep going. He knew Grandpa was old, alone, no match. But what he didn't know was that Grandpa had a plan. One weekend, I noticed Grandpa had hired a land surveyor, not just any, a very expensive one from out of state. They spent hours measuring, placing markers, scanning the land. Then Grandpa went quiet again, for 6 months. Until one day he showed me a file, thick as a phone book. "Dennis thinks I'm just some lonely old man," he said. "He forgot engineers like me built the machines he probably sells." Inside the file, aerial photos, time-stamped surveillance, legal documents, building codes, permit violations, surveyor results, and a timeline of property encroachments dating back 5 years. He had everything, and now he was ready. Grandpa filed a civil lawsuit, sued Dennis for property theft, unlawful structure encroachment, destruction of private garden assets, and harassment. Dennis laughed it off, until his lawyer saw the evidence. The judge not only ruled in Grandpa's favor, he granted a court order to remove all encroachments within 60 days. Dennis tried to negotiate, delay, appeal. Grandpa refused. "You've had 5 years, he said. "Now it's my turn." When the 60-day deadline passed, Grandpa took it to the next level. He applied for a demolition permit with the city, not just for the shed or the deck, but for everything built illegally on his land. And he hired a professional demolition crew. The day they showed up, Dennis came running out in a robe, screaming, "This is illegal, you can't do this." Grandpa handed him a copy of the court order and a lawn chair. "You might want to sit down," he said. "This part gets loud." Within hours, Dennis's custom deck, outdoor kitchen, and half of his shed were leveled. The fence, rebuilt on the correct property line, 3 feet into Dennis's yard. The tomatoes thrived, but Grandpa wasn't done. Turns out, he had bought the lien on Dennis's house 2 years prior, quietly, through a shell LLC. Dennis had taken a second mortgage to finance his lifestyle and defaulted. So Grandpa, through his lawyer, began foreclosure proceedings. It didn't go through. Dennis managed to pay it off last minute with help from family. But the message was clear. "I own the ground under your feet, and I let you stand on it." A year later, Dennis sold the house and moved. Grandpa? He rebuilt his garden, planted new flowers, and joined the local city planning board as a volunteer. "Gotta keep an eye on the next Dennis," he said. When he passed away, we found that leather notebook. The last page simply said, "Final status, peace restored, tomatoes thriving." Some people yell, others file complaints. But my grandfather, he waited, planned, documented, and when the time came, he brought the whole damn house down. If you have ever had a neighbor from hell, or someone who underestimated you, what did you do? Leave your story in the comments, and subscribe for more real revenge stories where karma comes in permits and blueprints, because sometimes silence isn't weakness, it's loading.